Chapter 10. No. New Year's Eve dressed the city like it was preparing for its own vows. Champagne lights hang from lampposts, tuxedos flashed against velvet gowns, and the sky itself looked restless, clouds dragging slow across a pale moon. And there was Jacob. He had arrived at the chapel without any fanfare. Coat collar up against the cold, eyes hidden just enough to pass through the crowd unnoticed. That was the thing about him. He never needed the room's attention anymore. The room was usually found him. And just like that, the groom did. Jacob, the man's voice cut across the aisle, running up to him before even the ushers could stop the shush of the man's yelling. He jogged forward, bow tie crooked, heart racing faster than the organist warming up the notes. He grabbed Jacob in a hug that nearly tipped both of them backwards into their eye. "Boy, you saved my life," the groom said, breath shaking with sincerity. Jacob smirked. "I didn't save anything. You did the work." "No," the man said. "You saved my life. You told me the truth when I couldn't stand to hear it. You told me to practice showing up, and I practiced." Jacob smirked again. "You did the work." The man stopped him, nearly putting his finger to the man's lips. Jacob looking at him in dismay. "Look, tonight's proof of that." Shushing him with his hand on his lips of Jacob. His eyes watered as he blinked them clear. "She's going to come down the aisle, but I couldn't wait for me to come to you. I know that sounds kind of weird, but thank you. Because before her saying, I do, I'm just so appreciative of you, and I am. I'll always be. Bro, you don't understand. I couldn't get to I do without you." Jacob tugged the bow tie straight, 2 fingers like a father fixing his son. "Well, then go. Go practice forever up there, man." The groom ran back toward the altar, leaving Jacob in the aisle of the ceremony as onlookers looked to see who this man was and the man that Jacob stood. In that moment, Jacob shuffled right as the music filled and the bride steps into the light. The pew was where he found his posture at ease, expression unreadable. He was used to these moments, to this vantage point, to being the observer, never the star, the catalyst, not the co-star, a man who left fingerprints but never smudges. He was not there in the morning. He was not there at the birth. He was not there as a grandparent. He was there at this moment, when many thought that no would never lead to a yes. This is exactly what it would lead to if you believed in it. The vows came, trembling but real. The laughter at the right beats, the kiss that stuck the landing. Applauses thundered, then fell back like surf against the sand. Jacob stayed seated until the aisle cleared, then followed the tide of guests towards the reception hall. The bathroom smelled like roses and whiskey, like every wedding he'd ever slipped through. He kept the distance during their first dance, sipping water, scanning the room with eyes that caught details no one else noticed. The bride's father gripping his speech cards too tightly, bridesmaids sneaking champagne like it was oxygen. Love everywhere. Panic too. It was that cousin that you don't talk about that had made the wedding accidentally. Weddings were built for this. And when the time came for gifts, Jacob approached the money well, a silver fountain dressed in flowers. Swallowing envelopes like promises, he slipped his inside, quiet as a confession. That's when he heard the footsteps, light, certain, a presence more than a sound. Jacob. Her voice froze him. Mid-motion, he turned. And there she was. The woman who had once said the only word that ever stuck to him like a scar. No. She had an Asian memory, but in person she carried herself differently. Poised, layered, over regret, confidence hiding questions she hadn't asked yet. The dress was emerald, the kind that dared you to stare. Her eyes, same as before. Sharp. Sharp enough to slice through the years. Sharp enough to slice through the wedding cake. I've heard about you, she said. Not greeting, no preamble, straight to it like always. They call you the love doctor, don't they? The man who fixes couples when no one else can. Jacob chuckled, slow and smooth. Rumors grow like legs when you let them, huh? Then they run. You really changed him, didn't you? She pressed, nodding toward the groom, now spinning his bride under the chandeliers. He says he owes you his life. Jacob tilted his head. People owe themselves. I was just a friend. As for the love doctor, I think you got the wrong man. But if he reminded them of what they already knew, then it sounds like they had an apple a day. For a heartbeat, silence hovered between them. Not awkward, nothing had changed. The kind that dared for one of them to blink first. They were dancing like spies. They were dancing like things in the shadows, things that happen at your night when you're sleeping. They were dancing as they watched the bride and groom dance for the first time. But they stood shoulder to shoulder. Then Jacob reached into his coat, and from his pocket he pulled out a card, and he handed it to her. It was plain, no ink, no logo, nothing. But raised dots pressed in the surface in Braille. She frowned, running her fingers over it, lips parting as she deciphered. A wise man once said nothing at all. By the time her eyes had lifted off the card and found the number, Jacob was already gone, like a phantom in the opera. Valet he was, there standing, about his Uber to the curb. Jacob slid into the back seat, leather cool against his shoulders, saying his name. The driver nodded and pulled away into the night. Halfway down the block, the speakers cracked to life as another song came on. A bass line stomped. It was filthy and unapologetic. Kadaba by Atarazat Adahaibia came on. It must have been the song played by the Uber driver. In that moment, Jacob asked him to turn the music up. As he leaned back into his seat and loosened his tie, and for the first time in a long time smiled, it sounded like words to freedom. Every note he had ever heard, the heartbreaks, the rejections, the turnbacks, there hadn't been endings at all. There'd been doorways of opportunity. He thought of how one woman's refusal had carved out the space for 1,000 others to seek him, to trust him, for them to be changed. Realizing that saying that he once heard as a kid, every no leads to a yes. What had been meant to close him off had instead opened him right up. So as the city blurred past the window, Jacob realized as he saw out, he wasn't missing anything out at all. By this time, he had built up a calling for a rumble of denial, shaping his life not around the love he had lost, but the love he had given, the love he could help find. And in that, he found the rarest thing of all. Peace. No, he whispered under his breath. It was almost like a mantra. A word that once tried to break him now gave him a career, opportunity. It carried him on his journey, not to a destination, but to whatever was out there.